My friends, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. So what this video is going to be about is it's going to be teaching you. So on Twitter yesterday, I talked about how I had made a little over $20,000 with options that I bought. Well, here, I'll just pull it up and read it to you. So made a little over 20K, but what I wanted to use this for is a teaching moment. Didn't go buy a car or a stupid watch. Didn't go buy crap I didn't need or party. Instead, I bought 100 shares of Tesla that I can start wheeling and roughly make $425 a week purely as passive income. So my already compounded money is going to start making me more. Every 100 shares I own of a company, I view it as a rent house, and I better be paying rent. If you want to become successful, there's definitely a time and a place for luxury, but your future has got to come first. It's like my coach always taught me, you got to think in decades. Where do I want to be 10 years from now? And the car that you would have bought, or that watch, or that thing, that ain't going to mean crap 10 years from now. But that $425, and I did the math wrong here, right? Because I just did 425 times 12 times 10. But the reality is 425 times 52 is 22,100 per year. Times 10 year is $221,000. And you're not going to have that car or anything like that. But it's just as I was scrolling through it and everything along those lines, it was just a lot of misinformed people, and honestly just a lot of confused people, just like, how, what, like, sounds too good to be true. And usually, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is, and I agree with you for the most part there. So what I wanted to do is, it was very frustrating and sad going through that comment section, but rather than getting frustrated or sad, we're going to turn, lemons into lemonade. So if you're watching this video, number one, thank you. Please like and subscribe to the video, all that kind of stuff. Number two, obviously, this isn't financial advice. This is just giving you a window into the way I like to handle my portfolio. You need to always do what is best for you and your family and your portfolio, just like I do for mine. So, but a lot of people, like I said, were very confused. Where is this $425 coming from? Is that share lending? What is that? So, and the answer is no. The answer is I'm going to be writing calls against this. So, number one, what is a covered call? A covered call is, number one, you have to own 100 shares of whatever stock you want to sell a covered call for. So I bought Tesla yesterday at 173. 173 times 100 is 17,300. That's what I bought the shares for. And so that is my investment. Now, I can sit there and I can just buy and hold those shares, and I can pray to the stock god going, "Dear stock god, please make me go to the moon." And you can do that if you want to. I don't care. For me personally, I don't like that at all. I said multiple times, I've never been a believer of just, buying and holding. Now, I do have, my normal retirement accounts and everything like that, that stuff is going to be, but the stuff that I'm actively managing, that I need a return on my investment, okay? So I view 100 shares, doesn't matter what company it is, doesn't matter if it's GameStop, AMC, Apple, Google, Amazon, Tesla. Every time I own 100 shares of that company, it's a rent house as far as I'm concerned. And if I'm going to buy that rent house, I need renters in it. I need to be making money on it. If you went and bought a rent house just in your neighborhood, you wouldn't buy that rent house and then just leave it empty and hope it goes up in value. I mean, you can do that if you want to, but I don't think that's the smartest way to handle a rent house. So I don't think that's the smartest way to handle my 100 shares. I always want to be getting a return on my investment. So when you sell a covered call, you are agreeing up front to the price at which you are willing to sell your shares. So what do I mean by the rent house analogy? So here's my little rent house with 100 shares, okay? And here's me. Yeah, I own 100 shares of Tesla. And I'm going to put a for sale sign out. So it's just like when you buy a house. So Tesla right now is like at 178. So let's say I put a for sale sign out here. We're going to use 180 in the video example today. So, hey, world, Mr. Market Maker, Mr. Stock Market, I am willing to sell my house, my 100 shares, at $180. And I'm willing to do that on May the 26th. And then you've got Mr. Meme Stock Buyer who's like, okay, I would like to have the option, but not obligation, but the option to do that. And that price or that option is $310. So when you pull up an option tablet, and if this is going to be, remedial for some of you guys, but, and you see like the 310 price, well, that's per share, and every contract has 100 shares. So Billy here is going to pay me $310. That $310 is going to be what goes into my portfolio, into my cash that I can actively trade with. As soon as my order is filled, that $310 is now in my pocket. Whoa. So I got $310 in my pocket. Now, my shares are kind of like in escrow, if you will. They're on hold. Now, if Tesla is over 180 on next Friday, the 26th, so let's say Tesla falls at 182, then my 100 shares go away from me. So I agreed to sell at 180. So what happens is now $18,000 is going to come back. Throw another zero on there. So $18,000 is going to go back to my brokerage account as cash that's available to trade. Plus, I had my $310 in premium that I already collected. So once again, you collect that money up front as soon as the contract is executed. So assuming I had no other money in my account balance would be $18,310. Well, my cost basis on Tesla was $17,300. So in 1 week, I flipped my rent house, and my profit is $1,010. That's my realized profit. So $1,010 divided by 17,300 is a 5.8% return, in 1 week. Start doing that every single week, right? Your portfolio. And this is why, people don't like covered calls, because so many of my followers are just, no, we just buy and hold, and, it's going to really cost you when that stock runs. And yes, that's definitely a downside part of it, which we'll get into that, a little bit later. But what I do is I take my guarantees, right? If you're willing to put, and we'll go with the 310. So 310 times 4. So my guarantee is 1,240 a week, a month times 12 months, $14,880. And remember, my initial investment on this deal was the $17,300. Okay? So just almost doubling my money throughout the entire year. And this is how I grew my portfolio from the ground up. I started with a very small portfolio and now built it to an incredibly large portfolio. And I did that through wheeling. So the way my portfolio is managed, which I don't care what you do, all right? But I built it with the wheel. And then that compounded money, I use that to buy options. And not all of these option contracts, wind up going green on me. I've definitely had some bad and some red trades. I post them on Twitter. But like for instance, this week I'm 8-1. So I just stack up more winners than I do losers. So then my bought options bring me money. And then that goes back into shares, which then goes back into wheeling. And it's the circle of life, right? So that is how I completely have built my portfolio from the ground up. So that is going to be what a covered call is. You are agreeing to sell your shares at a certain price. So you just want to make sure that it is above your cost basis. So I wouldn't want to sell, 170 covered calls on Tesla right now. Sure, I'd make money off of it, But that's below my cost basis. Why would I do that? Tesla right now is like at 178, 179 in after hours. So I've already appreciated, $6 from where I bought my shares at. So I'm already up $600 on this trade. I could, as soon as the market opens tomorrow morning, I could dump those shares, lock in my $600 gain. So what would that be? 600 divided by the 17.3. So 3.4% in 48 hours. Right? Pretty cool. But this is also too, this is why I always say, don't wheel anything that you don't want to own, because at some point you're going to own it and then it's going to get called away. So what do you have to have though to be able to sell covered calls? Well, number one, you got to have options trading, active on your brokerage account. All my stuff is done through Fidelity, so I just have level 2 options, so that way I can do whatever type of option trading that I want. But you get buying and selling options. You have to have 100 shares to be able to sell a covered call against your position. I don't even know if most brokerages would let you sell naked covered calls, but if they did, you're a moron if you do that. Do not do that. Own the actual 100 shares first. And then most importantly, you need to know what you're doing, okay? You need to make sure that you are properly educated on the matter first before executing the trade. And learn from my mistake. The very first time I ever sold a covered call, my coach walked me through it and everything like that, and I did it. But if I'm being as honest as I can, I was like, I have an idea of what's going on, but honestly, I'm not really sure. That's the bad news. The good news is it lit a fire under me that I'm going to do so much research on this thing and figure out, all the goods and the bads and, the ups and the downs and all that kind of stuff. So, let's talk about, so I pretty much, this example just showed you all the goods. So let's talk about some of the bads when it comes to selling a covered call. So when selling a covered call, the bad thing is you are capping your upside. So every single time, people start selling covered calls, they'll reach out to me and be like, Coach, it said my losses were unlimited. What does that mean? And I'm like, well, it's because, so let's go back to the example. If you sold the Tesla for 180, well, you are capping your upside. So you're not going to be able to participate in anything past 180. So if, let's say, Tesla by that Friday of next week was at 190, it doesn't matter. You're capped at the 180. Now, I'm not going to get into this video. There's lots of ways to roll these out into the future if you really want to hang on to your shares. For me, I'm do a lot of swing trading and everything like that, because for me, the goal is to make freaking money. Not to buy and hold, not to sit around and hope that things go well for me. My goal is to have a plan and execute and make money. And I will take my guarantees. So if that means, that 310, if I take that 310 times 4 times 12, 14,880. So this is what I teach in like my Discord. God, that's the worst date ever. But if I put $14,880 in cash sitting in front of you on your kitchen table, and I said, no, Tesla might, go up and, almost double in price or maybe even more than that, but I can offer you this right now, and this is going to be your guarantee. So you can either go into the market and you can hope you almost double your money, or you can kind of guarantee yourself that you can double your money. What are you going to do? For me, once again, for the 100 shares that I own, I need to be making rent off of it. So I'm going to be taking my guarantee. All right. Now, like I said, you can sell covered calls on a weekly basis, which is what I do, but you can sell them on a monthly. You can sell leaps if you want to. Like I was looking at the Tesla leaps today and like the 181 for December of 2025, and you can lock in $6,640 immediately. So $6,640 divided by the 17.3. So you could lock in a 38% return on your investment immediately if you wanted to. That would be the cash that's deposited in your account, and then that 17,300 is locked up, and it's going to be locked up for a while. But you can get a return on that, and then you just see what Tesla's price is, a couple of years from now. Right? Like I said, that's not my way of doing it, but there's definitely people who do do that. I like to stay within 30 days because the way, an options table works is it's going to kind of be like on a bell curve. So theta will pretty much stay flat. And then once you hit about that 30-day mark, it just starts picking up. So it really picks up on weeklies. How many people do you know that just burn money on weekly contracts all the time on meme stocks or any stocks? I mean, 35% of all contracts expire worthless. So when you're buying the contract, you got a 35% chance of failure right off the bat. When I'm selling the contract, I got a 35% chance of winning right off the bat. When I sell covered call contracts, I look at deltas that are usually about 0.3. So a 0.3 delta essentially is like, that gives you got 30% chance that your shares are probably going to get called away. It's not quite that simple because the Greeks are always changing every time the market is open, but that's essentially an easy way that you can look at it. So for me, like if I look at the 180 contracts, Tesla has a 0.59 delta. So there is a 59% chance that my shares are going to get called away. Now, if I want to just lock in that upside, like we already talked about, if I want to lock in that $1,010, it's a great bet to take. Okay, but you could also look at let's see, what's the? Oh, whoops! No, I'm sorry. I was actually on the sell and the puts one, so I lied. So the delta on the covered call is 0.40. So you got a 40% chance that your shares are going to get called away. Essentially, 60% chance that you would keep them. So that's still a little high for me. So at the 182.50, then that's a 0.32. So like normally if I kind of want to hang on to my shares, catch a little bit of upside, these are the type of ones that I look for because it always is going to give you a little bit of upside to participate in. Plus, you're going to be getting your guaranteed premium, which would be $220. Now, for me, I like to always get a 1 to 2% return on that. So, if I was looking at that one and I did, 220 divided by 17.3, then that's a 1.2% return. So that's an acceptable contract. If we look at the one that was the 181, then that's 305. So this was the 182.50. 180 would be, you're going to get $305 in premium. 305 divided by 17.3, that's a 1.76 return on your money. So at the end of the day, you just got to decide what's best for you, okay? Because that's so far above my cost basis, me personally, I'd be going for the little bit more premium. I'd sell the 181, collect the $305 like we already talked about in the example, okay? But the bad news is that's it. Like, that's my upside. If Tesla, ran to $200 or anything like that, I'd be in the big sad category, but I still would be, taking my guarantees, if you will. So for me, like in my swing portfolio, everything's got to be getting a return on my investment. I don't care what company it is. I got a bunch of rent houses out there. Those rent houses need to be paying me money. So the good news is you're getting a lot of guaranteed. The bad news is you are capping your upside on it. Now, the big thing I want to stress is you don't ever wheel or own. Just never own shares of a company that you don't want to own. Like, sometimes people will reach out to me and be like, what do you think about wheeling this, stock or anything? But like, do you want to own Bank of America? No, not really. It was just kind of cheap and I could get some good premium off of it. Don't do it. Only buy companies that you love, that you're passionate about, or anything like that, because you're gonna wind up, getting assigned. You're gonna have some bad assignments sometimes, and once again, you just got to be okay with it. So like when people, there was some douchebag that was in there and he was like, "Oh, that's great. I'll talk to you when Tesla drops down to $100 again." And it's like, that Tesla's gonna drop down to $100 again. Well, okay, so I'm just going to sit on the sidelines, not have my shares going? No. I'm going to buy the shares, already gone to the upside, but and if Tesla does drop to $100, then yeah, that would hurt. Obviously, I'd be negative $7,300 at that point in time. But that is why this is the only reason. Those of you who followed me from AMC, this is the only reason I'm incredibly. All my AMC shares are a free ride because I've collected all of my cost basis out of AMC through selling covered calls. So all back in 2021 and everything like that, when everybody was like buy and hold, buy and hold, buy 145 January contracts, I was like, no, you're gonna lose all that money. Sell covered calls. Have your moon bag if you want to, if things do squeeze, but sell covered calls. It was great premium. It's just lots of people left an insane amount of money on the table doing this. So, like I said, for me, I want to lock in the guarantees. So, and then if my shares do get called away, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I just go to the other side of things. Then I start selling a cash secured put. So if Tesla, if I get called away at 180, then I can turn right around and I can start selling 180 cash secured puts and collecting premium again. So this won't be a perfect example, but we'll use, and then I'll let you guys get out of here. I appreciate you taking your time, by the way, to watch this. I really hope it's helpful to you. So let's say I made the $310 from Tesla. And then the next week, then I have to sell a put at 180. And selling a put at 180, I can collect 590. So together, over 2 weeks, just my premiums, I've collected $900. And that $900, you can just leave it in your account, slowly let that grow each and every week, basically adding like $300, $400, and your cash position is just going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And this is what I teach in my Discord about letting your snowball grow. So that way, when you do have a great opportunity to pounce on a great stock that's providing great value, you got the cash sitting there. So that's essentially an average of $450 a week. So $450 a week times 4, $1,800 a month. Times 12, 21,600. Okay. Now, let's just say I got somebody going, well, there's no way, you can't guarantee that you're going to do that. And you're right, because each week it just depends on what is the stock price doing. But let's say you do that over 10 years, and now we're looking at $216,000 that you've collected instead of buying crap. You collected $216,000. Let's just say I'm half wrong. And you only collect $108,000. You going to be upset with an extra $108,000 in your pocket? I doubt it. So $108,000 divided by 10 is $10,800 a year. Divided by 12, $900 a month. Right? But you can't do that if you're going out and buying stupid stuff and not living the right way, not managing your money correctly, not managing your life correctly, having too much debt. You can't do that if you're drowning, okay? So get your life in order, get into the market, navigate the market correctly. Once again, my opinion, I don't care what yours is, this is my opinion. My opinion is you don't just sit there and buy and hold shares. You collect 100 shares, and that's your new rent house. And that new rent house needs to be paying you a premium. And every single week, and once again, you don't have to do weeklies. You can do monthlies if you want to. Every single week, every single month, you need to be putting those shares up for sale. Yes, you are going to have runs that you miss out on. Absolutely. Tesla could start ripping, AMC could start ripping, a GameStop could start ripping, a Google could start ripping, all those things are going to happen. Like I own Google at 90 and I got shares that got called away at 100. And whatever, who cares? It is what it is. I'm locking in my profits and then my cash is sitting there waiting for the next good move. So, like I said, this is what I teach in my Discord on a regular basis. This is the type of video that I would do. If you're interested in joining, currently right now, I do have just a couple spots left. and the link is posted, so you can go to my Twitter page, click on that. But like I said, I mean, I post receipts all the time. This is what I've done. This week I'm up a little over 50 grand. This week made 16,500. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm almost up 50. I'm like at 48,000 this week. But just coming from, let me show you this real quick, and then I'll let you guys get out of here. But this is from one of my brand new guys in the Discord. So he started wheeling at the beginning of April. So he joined in April, and so I'll just read it to you. He started wheeling at the beginning of April and continued to improve. I've collected $3,000 in premium in 1.5 months. So 3,000 divided by 6. He's collecting $500 a week. Love the passive income and steady growth. This is a spreadsheet that I use to track my cash secured puts and my covered calls, and my goal is $40,000 in premium after 1 year. Thank you, Colin. And so this is how he's keeping track of it, showing his profit and loss. And some trades are better than others, but he's still averaging $500 a week. Okay, you don't have to have a massive portfolio. You don't have to have a massive brain, but you do have to be willing to put in the work to learn and understand. And I promise you, I remember how confused I was all those years ago when I first started learning how to do it, and now I look at it and I think it's easy. But I do that because you got to get the reps in, okay? You got to get the reps in. You got to get on the right team. You got to, and once again, I've never shied away from the fact that you can learn this on your own. I did, but, well, I mean, that's not true. My coach, what he did was he drastically, cut off my learning curve. Okay, I was doing things in a couple of months that most people, if you were diving in and doing it all by yourself, it might take you quite a bit longer. So when you do things like if you come into my Discord or anything like that, that's what it's all about. It's the educational curve, so that way you can start making money in the markets faster, because time is everything. My only regret that I have is I hadn't been doing this since I was like 25 years old. I've got some really young guys in my Discord, and I freaking hate them because they're young and they're already making an insane amount of money. And I'm so proud of them because they're doing it at a young age. I'm going on 40. Up until I was 28 years old, I was just being an idiot. So if you're young and you're watching this video, number one, thank you for taking the time. Number two, get after it. Start selling covered calls. Don't just buy and hold. You can if you want to, but don't just buy and hold. Be raking in that premium. Some of you that have been holding, with all due respect, some of you that have been holding AMC for 2+ years, you've literally left tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table because you were just praying and waiting for a squeeze. Okay? So, like I said, you can do this with any stock. One more time to recap. So a covered call is you're agreeing to sell your shares at whatever price you pick. You can pick whatever price you want. And for that, you're paid a premium. That premium goes directly into your pocket. You have to have options trading available. You have to have 100 shares, and I highly recommend you know what you're doing. The good news is you are guaranteeing yourself a return on your investment. The bad news is shares can get called away, and you can miss out on runs. So if you got a ton of shares of a company, let's say you got 10,000 shares in company XYZ, and you're like, well, I really think it could squeeze. Then what I teach is that you keep a moon bag. It can be 70-30. So 70% of your shares are you just going to sit there and buy and hold with. 30% of your shares you're going to actively be wheel trading on, so at least you're getting some type of return on your investment. You can do it the other way around. You can do it 30-70, where 30% you're just going to buy and hold with, and the other 70%. I have a ton of shares of Tesla, and I do not wheel all of them, but I do wheel a large majority of them because the more volatile a stock is, the better the premium is going to get. That's why I always loved meme stocks so much, is because they're so incredibly volatile. And same thing is true with Tesla. Tesla is by far and away my favorite stock to wheel. It's by far and away the most shares that I own of any company, and so it's my favorite one to wheel. But essentially what I do is I wheel, then I take the premium. So I wheel and I collect. Then I buy the options with the money that I've collected. Then with the money that I collected, I buy shares at 100, and you can like yesterday, I just bought 100 shares of Tesla, but you can also sell cash secured puts on that, which once again, that's a different part. Not covering that in this video. And then those 100 shares, I then turn around and wheel, which then that constantly builds my snowball. So that way my option buys can get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is how I've taken my account from very small to incredibly big. I hope this video was helpful to you. Got a few more Discord spots open. Much love. I am going to be going back to my Tuesday and Thursday videos. However, I did apply, full disclosure, I did apply for a subscription-based service through Twitter. So my Tuesday and Thursday videos are going to be for subscribers only. Once I get approved, I'll figure out how much I'm going to charge for it. I just kind of got away from it because my other videos weren't getting traction. And